तेरी माँ सर्वमंगलमांगल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यंबके देवी नारायणी नमस्ते जय जय माँ.
Our next speaker is Susie Finley. Susie Finley, finding joy through sound. Susie Finley is a passionate. What did I do something? I thought I had something showing again. That's why I had to make sure. I know, I'm messing with y'all. Okay. Susie Finley is a passionate advocate for using sound to unlock inner joy and improve well-being. As a sound therapist, PEMF specialist, laughter yoga leader, and owner of Acoustic Therapeutics, Susie empowers others to harness the healing power of sound. She is also the founder of the Happiness Now network app and podcast, a community dedicated to supporting individuals in their pursuit of happiness and well-being. Here's what makes Susie's story unique: personal transformation. Susie's journey began with her own struggle with chronic pain and fatigue due to lupus, brought on by 15 years of caregiving for terminally ill family members. Witnessing the harsh side effects of prescription drugs on her loved ones and herself, she discovered the profound impact of sound and frequency therapy. This experience sparked a passion to share this alternative healing modality with the world. Multifaceted approach. Susie shares her knowledge and enthusiasm through various avenues. Fearless speaker fun shops, interactive experiences where she uses sound therapy, self-hypnosis, and improv exercises to turn fear and anxiety into joy, laughter, and there we go, and a love of life. Happiness Now show on the Win-Win Women Network. Her weekly live show provides a platform to connect with and inspire others on their journeys to happiness and fulfillment. Acoustic Therapeutics. Susie offers personalized sound therapy sessions at her practice located at 430 West Main Street in Babylon, New York. She also extends her reach with in-person happiness retreats and hosts virtual workshops and events online, making her teachings accessible to a wider audience. As a distributor for quantum sound therapy devices, Susie further empowers individuals to incorporate sound healing into their daily lives. Susie's main focus is clear: to guide individuals towards discovering their inner joy by utilizing sound to alleviate external stressors and quiet negative self-talk. No, so for a quiet negative self-talk, which I need to do more often. She firmly believes in the power of sound to create profound shifts in energy and happiness levels, leading to a more fulfilling and joyful life. To add to her personal joy, Susie loves sculpting, creating yummy, healthy foods, and hanging out in nature, collecting wildflowers and herbs with her dog Taji and sister Joanne. Please welcome Susie Finley.
Hey everybody, welcome to Trauma Talks Thursdays. That brings back such beautiful memories. That was Ra's amazing mental health conference. It was almost a year ago, and it's still one of the most exciting things in my life. So it was so nice to see that again. And Ra, thank you. That was such a great experience, and I can't wait till this year. So while everybody's here, I figured most of you should be in New York time, so you're probably winding down, and you want to get rid of the stress of the day. We're going to clear those energy fields out. So get into a comfortable position, close your eyes. We just want you to relax, listen to the sound. Don't worry about thinking anything. Just let the sound carry you to wherever you feel like going. Okay, so there's nothing to think about. Just listen to the sound. And don't forget to breathe. Okay, and wherever you are, you're going to start to make your way back. And just take note of where it was that you were that made you feel so relaxed and peaceful. And know that you can get back there anytime you want, just by closing your eyes and imagining. Okay, now you can wiggle those toes, wiggle your little fingers, flutter your eyes open. And let's welcome Ron and Brittany.
Hello, Susie. Are you sure that you're done? It's like, oh my God,
I was looking at the time. It said 9:12, and I know you said 10 minutes, but I wasn't sure when I started. But I could, if you want to rest a little, I could go.
It's okay. You already stopped, so it's fine. You look at the people that's commenting. Thank you for this. We have Yannick is here. Good evening to Yannick. We have Pauline, Robert, Pauline saying we have so peaceful. This is always so calming. Bless. Good night. It's always so amazing to have you do that and open, Susie. It is called Trauma Talk Thursdays, and trauma, as I tell everyone, we're not here to hurt anyone, to allow others to heal and hear the story of others. And trauma is heavy. Hearing the stories and the places where people have been and how they have overcome. It's all about managing your mental health and the things that you do. And this sound therapy that you do for us every single time you come on here and you grace this stage with your song bots, it's really grateful and necessary for everyone. So I want to tell you so much. Thank you so much from deep within. And bring up Brittany.
Thank you for letting me be here. I'm honored. Thank you. Before you talk, because I feel like now I should have gone longer. I was looking at the time when we started. I'm like, oh, I don't want to go too long.
That's okay. You did amazing. And we're grateful that you're here. So everyone, with myself and the amazing Brittany Purr and Susie tonight, we have an amazing guest sitting backstage. And listen, we bring it for you week after week. It's season 2, episode 4. And let me tell you, yep, Britt, it's meant to celebrate. That's why I tell everyone week after week, give yourself a tap on the back, right? Give yourself a pat on the back and let yourself know that, hey, you did it. You brought me from yesterday to today. Let yourself know how much you love you. And not to love yourself in a way that you're going to hurt other people, but in a way that you can help other people. Let people love you the way you love yourself, in a good way, and you share that love. Spread it in a positive way. And I'm sure the both of you can understand this. You see this, and I talk about this all the time. And people will throw wrong. And just only yesterday, I had this conversation with someone telling me about their person that they were with was a narcissist. I get it. I get how you feel, right? Because after 2020, that word narcissist has been thrown around a lot. Now, there are people with many, and this is where mental health comes in, with many different types of personality disorders. Now, narcissist, this is a disorder by itself, right? And let me tell you, I have been around one. And if people hear my talks, they will understand, because I go in depth to let you know that if you do not love yourself and believe in yourself enough and you are wrong, a narcissist, you could be digging your own hole to bury yourself. Because guess why? That person will never do and never be real to you the way that you are. And everyone around them that you see that they pretend to love and care about and show this person on the facade, that's not who they are, because they're not even real for themselves. All right. And with me saying this and bringing this in, because a lot of times, many people are quick to call another person a narcissist, but many times you don't reflect and go down that pathway to see where you as well went wrong. Because most of the times in a relationship, you guys bounce off each other. You all know that, right? So, like, if you send negative vibes on someone who's very calm, that negativity is going to actually start corrupting that person. And then they will start pushing it back on you, like pushing two magnets on the two opposite sides. What happens? They push apart, right? They don't come together. And this is the same thing. So when you self-reflect, you might realize, hey, the person wasn't really a narcissist. Maybe I did this wrong. And if the person is really like that, okay, you got to remember how to let go and go forward and heal. Because when I talk about my relationship for 10 years that I was emotionally abused, trust me, letting go is one thing. But when you have to reflect and go down that pathway, it really hits you because you hear it echoing, even though you let go and you move forward. But you have to hear it every time you reflect certain parts of your life to remember and help your own self for the betterment. All right. That's my little take on today. So I want you all to not focus on who is a narcissist in your life, but focus on yourself as you self-reflect to help build yourself. And remember, when you feel down and out, there was a man who had the blues because he had no shoes. And down the street, he met a man who had no feet. So Brittany Purr, welcome. And I want to tell you, thank you so much for what you did last week. I hate it's going to happen again. So before you get into it, I just want to say, Ra keeps his promises. And this is something both of you and Susie can, stand by. I did tell everyone in our upcoming conference on June 12th, anyone that registers by March 28th, they will be on our first press release. And I'm so proud today when I opened that thing and I saw myself on the cover of, L.A. Wire, and then to see, what was said in the conversation that you have with someone who don't know what you're doing. And you could actually visualize it and put it into words for you. When you read it, it feels so good. And then to read the powerful things of the speakers that actually going to grace that stage on Broadway, I felt really amazing. And this is a little glimpse of it. So I just want to add this quickly here before you jump on, Brett. And this was all of us on the new poster. And this is not all the speakers. We have another deal for everyone coming up. And this is true. Growth can be painful and change can be even more painful. But remaining in a stuck place, you don't want to do that in your life. You have to know yourself. You have to keep pushing forward. And trust me, you have to believe in yourself enough in order to do that. And, Susie, seeing this, looking here, I stopped changing your picture and removing you, even though you don't come every week, because I love this. I love that you're part of this, taking your time and dedicating that time to helping and healing others. And this was our excitement on Times Square when, look, actual pictures of us hugging and, everyone on the billboard and we're all together. This feeling, no one can actually take that away from us. And listen, we're about to do it bigger and better. So I have the both of you here, plus we have our guests backstage. And I want to throw this out there. Whoever sign up before the end of April, we are going to be on the first billboard advertising the conference. That's 1 out of 2. So now this time it's not one billboard, it's 2 billboards they're going to be appearing. And that's the ad with all the speakers going to appear on a billboard in the first week of May in Times Square on a billboard. And I am excited because, not just that I'm part of it or I am on it, but for everyone, the exposure that we bring by helping build the right platform to help you with your speaking career in the right direction. So Brittany Purr, Susie and I will leave you with your 5 minutes and you tell everyone, how was your week? Love you.
All right. Thank you so much, Raw. Thank you so much, Susie, for opening it up. It's been quite a day. So I really needed that. I have a major injury, which, if you heard me say, ow, why did you do that? It's because Obi decided to bite it. And it's been quite a day. But speaking about what Raw was talking about with dealing with those with narcissistic tendencies, because if we're not licensed to call someone a narcissist, we can call out the tendencies that they have that are of that sphere of narcissism. And within that, as Ross said, recognizing these things in you, because when we are in the thick of trauma, guess what? We're going to be showing some narcissistic tendencies, even though we are not narcissists ourselves. So there is that aspect where we get to reflect on these situations and maybe find out what's going on with someone. But if these behaviors are consistent through ups and downs, then it's time to question that person or create healthy boundaries for yourself. And this is for yourself, not to impose on another, because when we're creating healthy boundaries, that's something for us to be in integrity with. When we put a boundary on someone else saying, oh, don't do that, guess what? If you're dealing with a person who is stuck in narcissistic tendencies, they're going to do that just to get under your skin. And as Ross said, learn to let that stuff go, because it is not for you to carry it around or carry that stuff forward in your life. That also fosters narcissistic tendencies when we keep these burdens that are not ours to bear, or the words of someone that has tried to get under our skin, or letting that get under our skin to when we explode, we come off as the narcissist. So it is really important to do those deep dives, to do that clearing, and to really get yourself into a space where you know yourself so well that you are unshakable in who you are. Because those who employ narcissistic tendencies as a way of life, their whole game is to unseat you from knowing yourself so that they can control the world around them, because they feel like they're out of control. So that is what they try to do. Now, on that subject, with what Ross said, we do get to deep dive in our behaviors and how we might be creating contention in our relationships. And this harkens back to celebrating, which I would love to hear if people took time to celebrate this week or last week. Even just a little celebration, if you could share that in the chat. I would love to hear how you have celebrated your small or large wins. Please share that. But harking back to that, we also get to congratulate others on the efforts that they make, on the steps that they do, on how they are doing something to improve their lives or the lives of others, to amplify their stance or to amplify the stances and edify others who maybe don't have as much of a voice to speak or a chance to take up space for their voice to be heard. And it was interesting over this week seeing an individual stand for over 24 hours, speak for over 24 hours, not take a restroom break, fast since Friday so that they wouldn't have to go to the restroom, go into dehydration. And someone just showing the capabilities we have as human beings, that we can push our limits, that we can take a stand and be a voice for the voiceless, that we can take a stand and share our stories and that we can really make amazing things happen. But within that, I saw people who would be team members with this individual belittle him, poo-poo him, talk that individual down. And that's when you got to sit back and really question, did I do this? Am I doing this? Am I shutting someone down that is taking a stand in their life, that is actually doing something pretty incredible that I couldn't achieve? I mean, if I sat there going, yeah, I'm going to speak for, I cannot speak for like 3 hours. My voice goes out. I start, my voice gets all scratchy. Like, I don't think I could ever do that. But he showed what's possible. He broke records. And for anyone to sit there and belittle or demean that, yeah, I would just have to say, try it first. Like, try it first. See if you can accomplish that. And if you can, okay. Good competition. You get to recognize the effort if you make the attempt to at least do it. But to just outright try to tear someone down, really begin to question that. Question, okay, if I'm saying he's not doing enough, what is it that I'm really trying to say? What is it that I'm expecting of another that I'm not expecting of myself? What is it that I'm putting upon another that if I can't do what they're doing, why would I push or project an expectation on someone else when they are fulfilling something that I cannot do? And we get to realize that we are each individuals with our own special gifts. We each have our place in the world. Even with the person with narcissistic tendencies, they have gifts. They have value that they can put towards the world. They can still create amazing things, and we can still recognize them on the merits of those amazing things. And then understand that certain behaviors are not okay, and those will not be indulged. And most of all, checking ourselves to make sure that we're not indulged in those behaviors that we're complaining about. Because usually if we're complaining about it, we're familiar with it, we've done it, or we are doing it. It's we see in others what we see in ourselves. And that really comes into play with these situations. So that is my TED Talk for today. And yeah, I'm really excited to bring up our speaker, and you will hear more of this on stage on Broadway. So do sign up, especially if you're a speaker. Would love to see you there. Ra, welcome back.
I was like, you went in. I was just listening because you did. And yes, I forgot the word tendencies. And the thing about it is, not that I'm not a therapist, as we all know, but at the end of the day, I was repeating what someone was saying. So
Yeah.
I'm bringing it all together. And I love how you explained it, because it is all the truth. And, and I would say something. Like I told, like back in the day, I would fast for 9 days, but I would still eat some fruits, drink some water, no food for 9 days. And that fasting thing is hell. We all know Dr. Hawkins. So she's the first time she fasted for Ramadan, in support of her husband. And let me tell you something. I was like every day asking her, "Are you okay?" Because it's hard. It's not something that bypass, especially when you're just doing it for the first time. When Gandhi did that and stayed without water and food and everything to bring what? Peace. But human beings, again, will never understand in depth how it is. Same when we talk about Jesus and the love he spread. Look how far it is. How many millions spread his love, but with their mouths. Because many of them who spread that same love with their mouth actually condemns others, judges others, and hurt people in their lives that actually care about them. But that's another topic. For today, we had enough. we need to bring our beautiful, amazing guest. And our amazing guest is none other than Ranjanna Mariia Hvenegaard. And let me tell you, she's a transformative powerhouse whose life's journey embodies resilience and reinvention. Born in Mumbai and raised in Denmark, she now stands as a Catholic voice in the United States, a true force of nature on Broadway as the CEO and founder of Love Fulfilling You and the L.O.V.E. Triad. Ranjanna is dedicated to empowering adoptees and foster care individuals to reclaim their narratives and create lives fueled by purpose. Her story is one of profound overcoming amid the challenges of adoption, the trauma of sexual assault, and the relentless impact of systematic racism. Ranjanna transformed her pain into powerful mission of healing. Every one of you on here tonight, I give to you all Ranjanna Mariia Hvenegaard. Hello, Ranjanna. Welcome.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me to Thursday's Trauma Talk. I'm really excited about sharing my story.
Well, we're excited to have you, Ranjanna. So what we will do at this time is give you the stage. You tell them about you and you tell them your story. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to share my story today. I was born in Mumbai and adopted to Denmark and raised by a Danish family. My parents had 3 biological children before they adopted me in 1972. Growing up with a Danish family had many different colors. I always felt different in my way of thinking, my color and skin. So I was asking a lot of questions when I was a child. But, on the surface, you could think that I actually had everything as a child. But what people don't know or see is the visible weight that adoptees carry, like loss, shame, guilt, fear of rejection, and identity struggles. So I had all those, limiting beliefs when I was a child. And one of the first trauma that I encountered was in 1985. So my parents, they always been very giving. They always been paying for, other children's education in Africa, in Asia. So in 1985, they made a decision to help this immigrant that came from Sri Lanka. And he came to our family to learn about the Danish culture, learn about, how we are as a family in the Danish society. So he came multiple times every month to visit our family. And one night, he asked to stay in our house. That night changed my life for the rest of my life. For more than 40 years, I wasn't able to speak about what happened that night. He took something from me that I would never get back. I was sexually assaulted that night. It was never reported to the police. I was never taken to a counselor the next day. But my parents never asked me how I was feeling the next day. And that became a silence, that became pain that I swallowed. For more than 30 years, I wasn't able to speak about it. I buried the pain. And I cooked the only way I knew how, through food. So when he came to our house, he brought me chocolate. What I didn't know that chocolate I associated with the pain, but that pain became my addiction, to have chocolate addiction in my life. So I craved chocolate for so many years. But it also became my escape. it became my comfort because I was dealing with the pain that I sort of was coping with. And then the only way I sort of could do it, to eat chocolate. But the truth is, when trauma is buried, it doesn't die. And last year in 2024, my body was forced to face it when I suffered a third degree burn. A physical manifestation of the anger that I suppressed for so many years. It wasn't until I encountered Tony Robbins back in 2013 that I discovered, the life experiences we have, the trauma we have in our life is our gift. We can actually help other people to release their trauma by sharing our story, sharing our life experiences. If you asked me 15 years ago, I would say that my sexual trauma, sexually assault that happened when I was 13 years old, would be a gift in my life to share with others, to help others to heal, I would think you'd be crazy. I wouldn't believe you. But also, it was not the only thing that I, experienced my life. I have experienced racism. I have experienced, to be bullied, in school. But I see them as gift, but I see them as a way that I can teach others, to heal from those life experiences in life. And today, I feel that I'm a gift to adoptees and foster care individual as well, because I walk the talk. I feel I have a PhD in thinking how we feel as adoptees. I'm here to any adoptees that feel unseen, unheard, and are worthy. I never loved myself. Being sexually assaulted and, being adopted as well, it creates a wound within yourself, and a wound of lack of love, lack of self-love. So I always craved love my entire life. But when I started loving myself, and that was when I encountered Tony Robbins, he truly taught me how to love myself, but also see the blessings in my life. Be grateful, have grace in your life, being grateful for being adopted. I was born in India. I was born in one of the biggest cities in the world, where they have more poverty than anywhere else in the world. But I have grace that my parents decided to adopt me to Denmark. So therefore, being adopted, I feel is a gift. I hear many stories. I hear many difficult trauma stories about adoptees that being, abused, and the adopted parents are not treating them well, which is really, really sad for me to hear about. But when it comes to adoptees, it's really about loving yourself unconditionally. And that's why I have, developed this love triad. The love triad stands for love, oneness, victory, and empower. With those four components, you can actually start living a fulfilling life, because loving yourself unconditionally, feeling oneness with yourself and everything around you and the universe and with God, things start shifting and you start encounter victories in your life. Tony always taught me, life is happening for me. And I couldn't really understand that, but until I met him, I've always felt that life was happening to me. I felt it was unfair. I hated myself. I had the wrong color. I was experiencing racism. I was sexually assaulted. How could that possible be happening for me when I was feeling it was to me, right? But that sentence has ever since gotten me through life. life is happening. So when I encounter any challenge in life, or I feel something is unfair, I always remind myself about what Tony told me. Life is happening for you. And I'm truly saying this because I wouldn't be sitting here today speaking to all of you on Trauma Talk if it wasn't for that. I will go back to year 2022 because I took one of my most important decisions in my life to leave the country where I grew up. I was raised by a loving Danish family. I had a loving family. But there was something that always drawn to me, that was traveling to United States. I felt home there. I felt I was fitting into the culture. I never felt that I was fitting in Denmark. I worked in Denmark for more than 20 years, but I was never fitting in. I was never promoted for any jobs I took on. So there was something that drew me to United States in 2022. That was the moment I made a decision. I had to say goodbye to my family, and we were encountering some pandemic challenges and issues within the family that ended up with domestic violence, and I had to leave. So I took the decision. So I bought a one-way ticket to United States to create the life that I want to have, the dream that I want to create, and freedom for myself, and to heal for all that I've been experiencing in my entire life. It's been a journey the last 3 years, but two things that got me through those 3 years. Number one, life is always happening for me. Anything that I experience, or challenges, or traumas. The second thing is faith, trust, and belief. Those are the words that I live by every single day. And I took another important decision in Florida in October last year to go to New York City. I've been there years ago, but I was guided to go to New York to solve my immigration status that I lost in 2023. And I was guided in Florida to go down to a church, and I went down there for 10 times. Nothing happened. The 10th time I opened the door and walked in, and I shared my story with this lady that was at church that day. And I said, is there a way I can get to New York, with a bus or whatever? And she said, well, we actually sometimes help people like you. And she gave me a flight ticket to New York. So I came to New York on the 27th of October, 2024. On October 28th, I did something that I don't think anyone would do. I walked into Triad Hotel in Manhattan, and I said what I experienced in life. I was interrogated by 4 officers. I said, I'm seeking asylum in the United States of America. I was very confident when I walked in, and I was very calm. I don't know, I would say that I was very nervous with you being interrogated by 4 officers in Triad Hotel. But Triad Hotel is today what I call Ellis Island. So you know what happened 50, 100 years ago in Ellis Island, that all the immigrants came to the United States. That was what I did on the 28th of October. I went into Ellis Island, in my opinion. What I witnessed in there, I don't think anyone would want to experience. But there was so much beautiful experience in what I saw in the witness. I saw families, I saw children that was traveling alone, and they were crying. I saw single men in there. And it was a night that I will never forget. And how did I actually have the courage to do that? I can speak my heart from that, because that's a life experience that have given me the courage to do that. to recover from the trauma that I had in my life have made me who I am today, to keep moving forward, to keep put one foot in front of the other and just keep moving. And you will by then end by your destination. And for my case, that is United States of America. So now I'm here in New York City, and life is still happening for me. And I will not share everything that I experienced here in New York City, because it's not pleasant, but I have experienced and moved 7 times in 1.5 weeks, and how can I keep going? Why I'm not just going back? Why I'm not giving up? No, because I want the freedom. I want the freedom to do what I desire in my life. I want the freedom to help others. I want the freedom to create the emergency call center that I want to create for adoptees and foster care, to give them a lifeline for crisis, a lifeline that I didn't have when I was in Denmark, a lifeline I didn't have when I was experiencing the sexually assault, or when my parents tried to raise me in Denmark. So I want to create this. That is what is keep pushing me forward, to take one step further and take one day more, 1 hour, 1 second more. I'm not giving up on my dream, but I will say this: for anyone that's out there and struggling and having pain and suffering, when you start thinking about just having grace for like small things, just like hot water. We love to take cold shower. Yeah, I do that when it's 100 degrees outside, but not when it's winter. I don't like cold shower. But when we start having grace for small things, that is when our lives start changing. So when I encountered Tony Robbins, he taught me about grace. He taught me about being grateful for that I was adopted. He taught me about loving myself. So my mission in life is also to teach people to love themselves, give them the courage to keep going, no matter what's happening. We are all here on this planet to create a purpose, to create a mission. And what I have found when I came to New York is really finding God, finding faith, finding God's love. And that's why I'm here today. That's why I'm being invited to Trauma Talks. And now I'm going to speak on Broadway, which I never thought in my entire life was a possibility. I never thought that something that could happen for me. So when we start loving ourselves and trusting, the trust, I just want to speak a little bit about trust, because I lost the trust in everything when I was sexually assaulted. So I had to rebuild the trust in life, trust other people, because my family was the one, I wasn't their hand, I wasn't their, they were my family. I had to count on them. But when I experienced the sexually assault, the trust was gone. Trusting that I was safe, trusting that I was secure in this world. So the last 3 years, I have built up the trust, to trust myself, believe in myself, loving myself. And that is why I'm here today, share with you that love is important, self-love. I have a challenge right now where I teach self-love and self-care, because it's so important. We nurture our spirit, our soul. That makes us that makes us alive, but it's also fulfilling the soul, fulfilling you. So that's what I wanted to share with you today, that life is precious, life can be beautiful, even though it can be ugly sometimes. But just take one more step, one more second, one more hour, and one more day, and keep going. Thank you.
Wow, you got us. Like, I just sat back and I listened to your story, and like, I connect with you in so many places and so many things you said, especially, you appreciate the little things in your life. The little things, as you said, a simple thing like hot water. You know, you messaged me about certain things the other day, and I will tell you all clearly. It was last week. We didn't have hot water for more than 24 hours. And trust me, it was freezing. And I knew how it feels after. This is not, I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, and I told a story about hot water a few weeks ago. Pretty Per will remember this. I spoke about me loving hot water and wishing to have hot water. I know what it was. I'm thinking about you in the Caribbean and it's hot, but the barrel of water that you're bathing from as a child was cold. And I used to live by my aunt, and she had hot water, and I loved that. And then I came to America, and hey, I love bathing and showering in hot water, and I understand that. So you appreciate the little things in life. And also, I want to tell you, everything happens in that right moment. So your moment builds up. It's not
Yes.
the time, because the time keeps ticking. But your moment, it builds and it builds because you put it together. Like your trauma talks never would have happened if I hadn't started in 2018. If I didn't start taking people's stories and understanding this is the important thing. You need to hear someone else's story, because I have
Yes.
listened to people talk over and over about how, oh, Oprah, you can listen and you're going to compare Oprah to me. I am not Oprah. She did her thing. Look at her. She's this, she's that. And I'm sitting back there and go like, yes, but before this and that, she's a human. She was somewhere. And I remember in 2018 thinking, this show has to focus, which was your life experiences with Raw at that time, has to focus on letting people's stories be heard. I mean, wow, what a powerful, powerful story. And thank you so much. I know it takes a lot out from inside to share your story, especially to hold a mic in front of the camera is our audience today. Like, we have some amazing people like Tamara Patrick, Jenny, Midnight Queen, Cabachet. We have Rashmi Singh, a radio announcer from Sangeet radio station in Trinidad and Tobago, listening to us as well. And, everyone can tell you and resonate with you when you have to look at the camera, and it's just a camera. But when you have to look at these people in their face, while they sit there and look at you while you tell your story on that stage on Broadway, it brings a different feeling. It brings a feeling of triumph.
Yeah.
Not just your resilience, not just your truth, but who you are, standing tall, telling this story. And I wouldn't have been me to be able to tell that story if it didn't happen to me. So remember, what is meant for you shall never pass you by, and what passes you by was never meant for you. So you know what? I want to tell you again, Ranjanna, I'm really excited to have you on board and to have you part of our team and an amazing motivational speaker in Times Square, on Broadway, in a theater, to bring your story. So what I'm going to do now is bring on back my two amazing co-hosts, Brittany Per and Susie, to have a chat with you and ask you a question, and you guys will close the show. To all my rosters, Upscorum Nights, I want to tell you all thank you. Without you coming out here, and I saw some new faces on here tonight, and I want to call out some people like, let me just run through the comments quickly. I had Witty Algo Singh, thank you so much for joining. And we had another person I saw, Indra Budu. Thank you so much for joining, as many other new faces that popped in today. They didn't comment, but thank you so much. And here we have Rashmi saying, yes, that's true. That barrel of water always cold. Hell yeah. And a pocket, and you know what it is when you don't have water and you have to go down a far place and bring buckets of water and leave it there and it's freezing. So listen, we all had our stepping stones in life to be who we are, and that's what make us so strong. Again, Ranjana, thank you so much. Susie, thank you for bringing the song therapy in. Brittany Purr, the stage is yours.
Thank you.
All right. So, Ranjana, thank you so much for sharing your story. And I know there's a lot more to it, a lot more that you've gone through. And that's just a snippet of, what you've experienced and what you are still able to rise above and sit here and smile and say that you're still going no matter what. And can you share some insights on what it's like to be adopted by someone in a completely different country? What was that adjustment like? Dive in a little more on, the discrimination you experienced and those sorts of things.
Yeah, so when I growing up as a child, basically we were very fortunate in primary and secondary school level. We had uh, two other adoptees in my class and two other people from Israel growing up in the same class when going up to actually 10th grade. So while I was in school, it wasn't really there where I experienced the racism. I experienced racism when I actually applied for my first job. And I had to pass a test. And I passed the test with a high score. It was actually in real estate. And I just got a phone call and they said, well, I'm sorry to say this, and I will never work with the company again. But they told me that they don't want you because of your skin and the name you have. And I completely forgot about it until when I stepped into a store in California and then somebody said, well, you know what you would be really good at? Then real estate. And then that was the moment where I remember that what happened when I was a child. That was my first job. And I had a school teacher in high school that told me that, I didn't belong here. I didn't belong in Denmark. I shouldn't be here. I should go home to my country. And it was just like one out of many stories that I encountered in Denmark. And that was just, it makes scars in your color. It makes scars in your soul, when you experience racism in that way. And it's also, when you are adopted, you one of the most important thing is actually to feel that you belong somewhere. Because when I talk about intercultural adoption is when you are adopted in a country. It can be South America, it can be Africa, it can be India. And then you're being, transferred to a different country. You grow up in the community, but the community can be, it can be white people, it can be both black and white. But in the 70s, we didn't have many, black people in Denmark. We have today, like you have here in New York, but it's not the same. So I never really felt that I belong. And that comes back to my identity, actually, because I couldn't really find peace within myself because I was split between two cultures. One is my Indian culture, but also my Danish culture, because I always felt different. And it was first when I actually in 2006 went back to India and I felt home in myself. I felt home in my skin. And that was 2006 where I first accepted my skin color. Because I saw the Indian culture, I saw how they were living, but I was fitting in the Indian culture. I was like them, right? I didn't look exactly the same. I was Western dressed and things like that, but the color was the same. So I felt home in my color for the first time. I accepted myself and I saw the good things about who I am as a person, but I truly found my identity at that time as well. And I was 37 years old.
Wow. That is a lot to consider, outside of the norm perspective of identity and what it's like to be treated in that way, to be restricted from something that you excel at just on surface basis. Like, it doesn't make any logical sense as to why people would do that. And even more knowing that you being on the receiving end and this experience of that, like how heartbreaking that is to, experience. And so thank you so much for sharing openly and authentically on that. And Susie, I will pass it over to you to ask a question as well. Oh, you're muted.
It worked. Okay. Ranjanna, thank you so much for sharing that. And you're a superhero, because I'm looking at everything you went through and the fact that you're turning this around, and your mission is to create the adoptee call center, which I think is so well needed. And the thing that I would love for you to do now is to explain a little bit about that, because you never know who's listening. Because one of the things I noticed when you have a really big mission and you put that energy out there, that people show up. So I just want you to say it out loud, because you never know who's listening. And I love, love, love what you are doing. And I can already feel it. They always say if you're thinking it, it's already here for you. So I would just like you to go into more detail about who you need for, because maybe there are people here that want to volunteer that are listening. What kind of finances you need for, because I know you're going to need to raise money for it. So anything you need, like what you want to talk about and what your vision for it is, I would love to hear all that, because it's so well needed.
Thank you for sharing that, Susie. So the idea came out when I came back from a Tony Robbins Date with Destiny event back in 2022, because I have my coaching business, Love Fulfilling You. But I was thinking, Tony impacts the world with what he does and his coaching business, but he's also doing these virtual events. And I was thinking, how many people can I impact in the world by having a coaching business? And I'm like 50 years old. How many people do I have time to coach for the rest of my life? And I was thinking there must be a better way for me to impact the world on a higher scale, on a higher level. And then it just came. I was driving from, Santa Ana Airport down to San Clemente, and it just came out of the blue. And it was this God moment where I thought, okay, what about that I create an emergency call center lifeline for adoptees and foster care that is nationwide, that they can call, homeless people can call a number, and some people can, there's the sexual assault line. They also have 211, 811 or 911 for that case. So we'll have to create a phone number where people always can get somebody on the phone. And they need it. 20% of people are aging out of the foster care system today are either becoming homeless or they're exposed to sex trafficking. And that's another subject that is so important in the world today, because it's happening all over the world. In India, there's 800,000 children that are homeless and exposed to the same sex trafficking. So I want to create the emergency call center because I feel I can impact more people by having a lifeline for those in crisis. So they always have somebody they can call up 24/7 and get somebody on the phone. So right now I am looking for, because this mission is not about me, but this is about how we can impact the world on a high level and a high scale. So I'm looking for partnerships. I'm looking for collaborations, because this is not about me. And of course, funding to get everything started somewhere. I already created a business plan for it. I have outlined how I want it to look like, but I'm open for suggestions. And I think funding, I think I'm looking into at least $1 million to get started, to hire people, but I'm also looking to being connected to the right people that are in the foster field or in the adoption field. It can be an adoption lawyer, it can be adoption agency, foster care agency. But my goal is really to get it up to United Nations, actually, because I feel it needs to be part of the 15 goals they're having. And we should be fitting in under one of those goals, because this is a national crisis. And it's also, I was contacted by somebody in India, and they said, wait a minute, we need this too here in India. And India has more than 1 billion people, right? So they need it too. So it can't be cross collaboration between countries. But right now, I want to start in the United States before I go international, and to create it because it's needed right now in this moment.
It's amazing.
Mhm.
And even in my community with Tony Robbins, too, I'd mention it on your post too.
Yes. Yeah.
Because he's got the right people in there, and maybe he'll get involved, and it's beautiful.
One of my one of my goals are also to create an virtual event for adoptees and foster care in the United States with Tony Robbins. That's my dream.
Mhm.
So I'm working on manifesting that into my life.
That's amazing. I love it. And so we do have some questions, or some comments and questions from Sweetie Nori. She says, Ranjanna, you courageously transformed your personal pain stemming from a complex history of adoption, trauma, and systemic challenges into a powerful mission of healing and empowerment. And then asks, can you share with us the pivotal moment or insight that sparked this transformation, and how that moment continues to guide your work with adoptees and foster care individuals? Additionally, can you discuss the intuitive tools and techniques you've honed over the years that now play a critical role in helping others turn their trauma into triumph? Loaded questions.
Yeah. So let me start with the first one.
Mhm.
The moment where I found the passion and desire to help adoptees and foster care, and also transform my life, that was on day 4 in David Disney, where day 2 actually, where Tony gives you a blessing, and he actually touches. They actually have the entire room being touched by healers. And that moment I felt God, and I was like having tears running down on my face, and just grace and gratitude for being adopted and being a blessing to them. I saw literally like that was a blessing in my life, and I was a blessing myself. And when you find yourself, and I found my heart, because I lost my heart when I was sexually assaulted. In that moment, I found my heart again. I found the love. I found the passion within myself. When you find the love and you find the passion in life again, that's when you find your mission in life, in my opinion.
It's beautiful.
And, trauma, we all just have different trauma in life. Some have been raped, some have been sexually assaulted, some have been abused. We all need to heal from that. And in the Tony Robbins world, I have been fortunate to discover a technique which is called the epigenetics healing process, where you touch the spine. So every trauma we experience in life is actually restored in the nervous system and the spine. So I've been very fortunate to meet Donny Epstein, who is the founder of this healing procedure. But what it's done for me is really to not be in here in my heart only, but open up to the universe to be able to receive. But I have developed some really strong intuitive gift that I have. So, for example, I can sit, I can literally just touch somebody on their heart and their back, and I feel the emotions, I feel their heart, you know, what it has to say. It's their soul speaks to me energetically or mentally, physically. And I just speak into whatever comes to it. I get messages down, and it's really, it's a gift, I would say, but it's a gift anyone can develop. But it takes time, you know. It's not something I got overnight. It's been the steps towards developing these gifts that I have intuitively. But I will say this, and it's a very strong moment I had in November 2024, where I went to a Tony Robbins event. And Tony Robbins has a process called the Dickens process, where he dives deep into the pain you have had for so many years to release the pain. And I was guided from having a break to actually end up sitting with a participant. But I was reading her limiting beliefs from what she was sharing with me, and I said, okay, there's something deeper with this. She has a gift, and the gift that I saw when I was doing my date with Destiny was what I saw she had. She didn't know what it was. I just said, you have a gift. And he said, oh, I have? And I said, yes, you have. And then I started sharing my story. And I started sharing that I was sexually assaulted when I was 13 years old. And she broke down in tears, and I said, she literally like broke completely down, like bursting out with tears. And she said she was also sexually assaulted. And the reason why I knew that was because she said she's never been able to speak up. That's a gift you get when you do level, you know, you keep on going, but you also dive deep into your soul and your the blessings and the love you have within yourself, and you can develop some intuitive tools as well. I don't know. I hope that will answer your question.
And sweetie, those were great questions. She says, thank you. I'm sorry to make you feel uncomfortable in any way.
No, you did not.
No, they were
I
great
love
questions.
sharing, you know, I'm here to help and heal people. That's my mission.
Yep. Believer in Karma says deep. Asians support mental health says love to you, Miss Ranjanna. Jenny says that is so amazing. And Viva Miss says you have a long way and many people to touch and help children, as you say. You are only 50. Love to you and your drive. Keep it going.
Thank you. Thank you for the beautiful comments and questions. I'm honored to answer more questions.
Where can people find you so that they can connect with you online after this?
Yeah, so I have my Love Fulfilling You, which is my website. And I can also give people my phone number, which is 954.
Oh, nope.
No, don't do that.
Yeah, nope. The website's fine, but this does go on a podcast, which is publicly available to many different people. So a phone number might have to change if we put it out there. But what is the website? So I can type it into the chat real quick. If you can spell it out for people.
I can type it here. I think so.
Okay.
It's called Love Fulfilling You.
And is that .com?
Yes.
Awesome. I see it. Thank you so much for posting that. And that is www.love, L-O-V-E, fulfilling, fulfilling.com. All right. And to bring us towards the end, we are going over, which this has been amazing. Thank you so much to you, Ranjanna, to you, Susie, for making this happen. And I'll ask both of you, actually, both you and Susie, what are some key things that you would like, as my cat tears around me, what are some key things that you would like to leave with our viewers and listeners today?
Would you like to go first, Ranjanna?
Yeah, you can go first.
Okay. So for me, I'm going to piggyback on what Ranjanna does. It's always so good to reframe things. Like I love what you were talking about with Tony, that is happening for me, not to me. And I've been doing that a lot lately. Every time something happens, like I mess up something or I'm late for something, I'm thinking, okay, well, what reason did this happen for? What's going to happen to me now? That could be more exciting. And then I always find something more exciting. Like, so I'm almost looking forward. I got to knock with them and be careful. I always say I'm always looking forward to when I have mishaps. I'm thinking something even better is going to happen. And when you take that attitude, life gets really interesting and a lot more fun. And I think I did get that idea from Tony first. I'm a big fan of Tony. And so that just like triggered that, because I do live like that, and it's so important. And it makes your life more adventurous.
It does. It does. Yeah. I literally don't think I would be alive if it wasn't for that sentence.
It's amazing, right? How one thing can change, and you could be that one person too that tells somebody. You know, that's why it's so important what you're doing with the hotline. And
it is. And
already a big
fan. Yeah, and you know, if it's not about life happening for me, you know, there might be a lesson in there to learn.
Yeah.
You know, for us to dig into, to dive into. You know, I always, you know, if something happened, you know, between two people, I'm always looking at it like, you know, from outside, right? You know, because we all have rights, we all have right to speak up, but sometimes we don't really know what's going on in the other person's life that get them to react or do something, or, you know. So I just always see things in two ways, and I always look at what can we learn from it, what is the lesson in there, right? So that's what I wanted to end the night with.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you both for joining us tonight. Thank you, Ra, for creating this every week, for creating a huge and amazing experience on Trauma Talk Thursdays. Sorry, my cats are still going crazy. And most of all, there's the press release. Go check that out on LA Wire. And also, if you want to sign up to this event, go to MrTraumatalks.com to find out more about what we are doing on stage live in New York. We'd love to have you there either as a guest or as a speaker. So stay tuned for that. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe. I know it sucks that we have to keep saying this, but the more that we have people liking and subscribing, the more that we can expand, the more that as you share this forward, as our community shares this forward, and we expand on that, the more speakers we're going to have, the more support is available to those who are going through whatever situation comes down the pipeline on this crazy, crazy year. And the more that we are impacting the world together for the better. We are nothing without our community. So help us to grow and to reach more that really need this, that need these messages, that need these stories, that are a cornerstone of the human experience. This is something that our ancestors used to do. This is something that I grew up listening to my great grandparents, knowing that they went through the Great Depression and World War I and World War II and the Vietnam War. Just those experiences, those stories being shared are so powerful and impactful. Share this forward. That is the least we can do to help us to come together to make a better world in all of this confusion and chaos that is happening right now. So thank you all for tuning in and for joining us on Trauma Talk Thursdays. Much love to you and have an amazing week. We'll see you next week. Same time, same channel. And if you're tuning in on the podcast, remember, like, subscribe, and we would love to hear from you in the comments as well. You are part of our community if you are hearing my voice right now. So thank you so much and have a good one.
Thank you.